Hello, friends. If you're curious about the movie Caligula from 1979, you're in the perfect place. Don't forget to give this video a quick like, it really helps us out. And if you're new here, hit subscribe to stay updated on all the latest movie deep dives. Let's jump right in. Step into a world drenched in opulence and decadence, where power is absolute and excess is the currency of the elite. This film plunges us into the tumultuous reign of one of history's most infamous emperors, painting a portrait that is as brutal as it is lavish. It is a cinematic spectacle that dares to expose the darkest corners of human ambition, corruption, and desire, set against the grandeur of ancient Rome. With sweeping visuals, controversial scenes, and a narrative that unflinchingly captures the descent of a ruler from promising heir to tyrannical despot, the story grips you with its intensity and shock. At the heart of this sprawling epic lies the figure of Caligula himself, a man shaped by privilege, prophecy, and a hunger for unchallenged control. His early life is marked by tragedy and political intrigue, yet he rises to power with an aura of promise. However, as the narrative unfolds, the veneer of imperial majesty fractures, revealing a psyche unraveling under the weight of absolute authority and unchecked indulgence. The film's portrayal is unrelenting, exposing not only the historical mythos but also the raw, unsettling human vulnerabilities beneath. From the moment he ascends the throne, the emperor's rule is a maelstrom of extravagance and cruelty. Lavish banquets transform into spectacles of excess, where debauchery is both spectacle and weapon. The narrative pulls no punches in illustrating the emperor's descent into madness, his court becoming a theater of political manipulation, violence, and moral decay. Intrigue swirls in the marble halls as allies become enemies, and the line between devotion and fear blurs. Each scene pulses with tension, drama, and the visceral reality of a regime teetering on chaos. The film does not shy away from depicting the era's most provocative aspects, its raw sexuality, brutal power plays, and the profound loneliness of one who rules without restraint or conscience. The camera lingers on moments that shock and mesmerize, weaving a complex tapestry of pleasure and pain, loyalty and betrayal. The visual opulence contrasts sharply with the growing darkness within, creating a dissonance that keeps viewers both enthralled and unsettled. As the story progresses, major twists unfold, assassinations plotted in secret, betrayals that shatter trust, and the emperor's own spiraling paranoia and cruelty reaching fever pitch. The narrative crescendos toward an inevitable reckoning, a climax that echoes the eternal cycles of rise and fall that define empires and men alike. It is a story of power's seductive poison and the human cost of absolute domination. Prepare to be immersed in a cinematic experience that is as visually sumptuous as it is emotionally and intellectually challenging. This is a film that demands attention, provoking reflection on history, humanity, and the thin line between greatness and madness. Let's delve deeper into the layers of this epic saga, where every scene is charged with meaning and every moment pulses with the relentless beat of empire and excess. The story begins with the grand spectacle of ancient Rome in all its towering majesty and relentless ambition, a world where power is currency and the ambitions of men shape the destiny of empires. From the opening scenes, the film immerses us in a realm of splendor and shadow, a city of marble palaces and crowded streets, where political intrigue simmers beneath the surface of public pageantry. It is here that a young prince begins his transformation into the figure history remembers with a mixture of horror and fascination. Born into the ruling family, the boy's early years are marked by both privilege and tragedy. The loss of his parents to political machinations and betrayal sets the tone for a life haunted by violence and suspicion. Raised under the watchful eye of a powerful grandfather, he is groomed for leadership amid a court rife with rivalries and whispered conspiracies. His youth is steeped in lessons of power, manipulation, and survival, a crucible that will forge the man who will one day ascend to the throne. The ascent to power is swift yet fraught with tension. The sudden death of the reigning emperor thrusts the young heir into the spotlight, and with the support of key allies and the loyalty of the Praetorian Guard, he assumes control. His coronation is a spectacle of grandeur, a moment charged with the promise of a new era. Yet beneath the celebrations lies an undercurrent of unease. The court's courtiers and senators, each with their own agendas, watch and wait, wary of the change a new ruler might bring. As he settles into his role, the emperor's initial actions are a mix of calculated reforms and displays of strength designed to consolidate his position. He moves swiftly to eliminate potential rivals, showcasing a ruthlessness that sends a clear message to the power brokers of Rome. His decrees reshape the political landscape, alienating some even as they secure his authority. The tension between public spectacle and private cruelty begins to emerge, hinting at the darker impulses lurking beneath his regal facade. The film devotes considerable attention to the dynamics of the imperial court, a labyrinthine world where alliances shift like sand and betrayal is never far from the surface. The emperor surrounds himself with a mix of loyalists, opportunists, and sycophants, each navigating their own precarious paths. Scenes of lavish banquets and theatrical displays contrast with whispered plots and secret meetings, revealing a world where trust is scarce and survival depends on cunning and ruthlessness. One of the defining aspects of this period is the emperor's growing indulgence in excess. The narrative chronicles his descent into decadence, capturing the opulent lifestyle that becomes both a symbol of power and a harbinger of decline. Lavish feasts overflow with exotic delicacies, and the emperor's palaces become arenas for excess, where pleasure and cruelty intertwine. This lifestyle alienates many and fuels rumors of madness and moral decay. The film does not shy away from portraying the emperor's personal relationships, which are as turbulent and fraught as the political landscape. His interactions with his wives, concubines, and closest advisors reveal a man whose need for control extends into his intimate life. These relationships are marked by passion, jealousy, and manipulation, underscoring the themes of power and possession that permeate the story. Amidst the excess and intrigue, moments of psychological insight punctuate the narrative. The emperor's internal struggles, his paranoia, rage, and moments of vulnerability, are glimpsed through scenes that humanize rather than merely vilify. These portrayals invite viewers to grapple with the complexity of a figure often reduced to caricature, exploring the burdens and isolation that accompany absolute power. Key turning points emerge as the emperor's reign grows increasingly volatile. Acts of cruelty and caprice escalate, leading to public unrest and fear within the court. The narrative traces the unraveling of his alliances and the rising opposition among those who once supported him. Intrigue intensifies as plots to undermine or assassinate him take shape, setting the stage for the dramatic conflicts that will define the latter part of the story. The film's pacing balances sweeping historical scope with intimate character moments. Epic scenes of battles, public ceremonies, and palace life are interspersed with quiet, intense dialogues that reveal motivations and fears. This interplay enriches the narrative, allowing viewers to experience both the grandeur and the human cost of imperial rule. Visually, the first part of the film dazzles with its lavish production design and meticulous attention to historical detail. Costumes, sets, and props immerse viewers in the ancient world, creating a palpable sense of time and place. The cinematography captures the contrast between the grandeur of Rome's architecture and the claustrophobia of court intrigue, enhancing the story's thematic tensions. Sound design and score complement the visuals, weaving a tapestry of ambient city sounds, ceremonial music, and haunting motifs that underscore the film's emotional texture. The use of music varies, from triumphant fanfares to somber, reflective passages, guiding the audience's emotional journey through the unfolding drama. Throughout this phase, the film poses profound questions about the nature of power, the fragility of morality under absolute rule, and the human costs of ambition unchecked by conscience. It challenges viewers to confront uncomfortable truths about leadership, legacy, and the thin line between greatness and tyranny. By the end of this segment, the stage is set for the inevitable descent, a trajectory marked by escalating excess, shattered loyalties, and the haunting consequences of a reign fueled by ego and desire. The narrative momentum builds toward a reckoning that promises both spectacle and tragedy, inviting audiences to witness the unraveling of a legend and the echoes of history's darkest chapters. In essence, the opening acts of the film are a masterful blend of epic storytelling and intimate portraiture, a canvas where history's grand sweep meets the fragile humanity of its characters. Through rich detail, complex characters, and a compelling narrative arc, the film draws viewers into a world where power is both a throne and a prison, a world as captivating as it is cautionary. As the story unfolds deeper into the shadowed corridors of imperial Rome, the tides of fortune begin to shift with relentless force, steering the emperor toward an irrevocable descent marked by paranoia, cruelty, and shattered alliances. The city that once celebrated his rise now trembles under the weight of his excesses and volatile reign. The second arc of the narrative plunges us into the heart of this unraveling, where power corrodes, loyalties fracture, and the specter of downfall looms large. The emperor's indulgences grow increasingly brazen and unrestrained. His court becomes a carnival of debauchery, where opulence masks a darker hunger, a craving for domination that extends beyond politics into every aspect of existence. Lavish feasts transform into spectacles of grotesque excess, and the boundaries between pleasure and cruelty dissolve. Scenes depict orgiastic revelries juxtaposed with acts of brutal punishment, emphasizing the twisted duality of his rule. This crescendo of decadence unsettles both his subjects and viewers alike, evoking a world spinning ever closer to chaos. Amidst this escalating excess, cracks appear in the emperor's circle of power. Trusted advisors grow wary, their loyalty strained by fear and disillusionment. Intrigue thickens as whispers of dissent circulate through the marble halls, plotting to curb or end the tyrant's reign. The film intensifies its focus on these conspiracies, weaving a web of deception, betrayal, and shifting alliances that add layers of tension and complexity. The emperor's growing suspicion fuels a cycle of repression and violence, as perceived enemies are ruthlessly eliminated in a desperate bid to maintain control. The emperor's personal relationships deteriorate alongside his political standing. Scenes reveal fracturing bonds with his closest confidants and lovers, underscoring the loneliness and isolation that absolute power imposes. His erratic behavior alienates those once devoted, turning allies into adversaries. Moments of vulnerability peek through his fury and madness, humanizing yet deepening the tragedy of his decline. These interactions highlight the cost of unchecked ambition and the fragility of human connections in a world ruled by fear. A pivotal turning point emerges with the eruption of rebellion within the Imperial Guard and Senate. The film captures the mounting tension and violence as factions collide, power struggles erupt, and the emperor's grip weakens. Dramatic confrontations unfold, both physical and psychological, pushing characters to their limits. These sequences blend visceral action with charged dialogue, illustrating the high stakes and the profound consequences for Rome's future. The narrative's pace quickens as the film moves toward its climax. The emperor's paranoia intensifies, leading to increasingly erratic decisions and brutal purges. Scenes depict his isolation growing, surrounded by suspicion and hostility. The once mighty ruler becomes a figure besieged by his own fears, his mental state unraveling in tandem with his political power. The film employs tight framing and stark lighting to convey this psychological collapse, drawing viewers into the claustrophobic world of a man losing himself. In parallel, the film explores the fates of those entwined in the emperor's orbit, loyalists grappling with conscience, conspirators driven by survival or vengeance, and innocents caught in the crossfire. These interwoven stories add depth and nuance, illustrating the ripple effects of tyranny. The emotional stakes rise as characters confront impossible choices, their destinies intertwined with the empire's fate. The climax arrives with a sequence charged with inevitability and tragedy. The emperor's final days are marked by dramatic confrontations and decisive blows. The film captures the tension of an empire on the brink, blending spectacle with intimate moments of reckoning. The narrative does not flinch from depicting the violence and betrayal that precipitate the fall, nor the emotional weight borne by those involved. The resolution unfolds with a blend of grandeur and poignancy, closing the chapter on a reign defined by excess and ruin. Symbolically, the film underscores themes of decay and renewal. Imagery of crumbling statues, extinguished flames, and empty thrones evokes the transient nature of power. Yet amidst destruction, moments suggest the possibility of new beginnings, fragile yet persistent. The final scenes linger on the echoes of history, inviting reflection on cycles of rise and fall that transcend time. Visually, the film sustains its evocative use of color and lighting to mirror narrative arcs. The palette shifts toward colder, more desaturated tones as the story darkens, punctuated by flashes of vivid color that symbolize passion and violence. Cinematography intensifies the sense of entrapment and despair through tight framing and shadow play, immersing viewers in the emotional turmoil. Sound design and musical score heighten the emotional resonance. The soundtrack weaves dramatic crescendos with haunting melodies, accentuating moments of tension and sorrow. Ambient sounds, clashing swords, murmured plots, distant cries, create a textured auditory environment that deepens immersion. In essence, the latter part of the story is a profound exploration of power's corrupting influence and the human costs of tyranny. It confronts the consequences of unchecked ambition and the fragility of loyalty in a world ruled by fear. Through its richly drawn characters, complex plotting, and sensory storytelling, the film delivers a tragic yet compelling narrative that resonates beyond its historical setting. As the curtains close on this chapter of ancient Rome, the film leaves viewers with a haunting meditation on the nature of leadership, legacy, and the eternal dance between light and shadow that defines human history. It is a story of grandeur and decay, of dreams shattered and lessons etched in blood, a cinematic journey as riveting as it is sobering. At the heart of this sweeping epic lies a constellation of characters whose complexities and contradictions give the film its enduring power. Each figure embodies facets of ambition, vulnerability, cruelty, and humanity, painting a rich psychological portrait of a world where power and passion collide. To understand the film is to delve deeply into these characters, not merely as historical figures, but as vividly realized individuals whose motivations and struggles propel the narrative and resonate on universal levels. Central among them is the emperor himself, a man whose trajectory from promising heir to tyrannical ruler forms the spine of the story. His character is a study in contrasts and extremes. Born into privilege yet shaped by trauma, endowed with charisma yet consumed by paranoia, a visionary leader who descends into madness. The portrayal captures not just the external trappings of power, robes, crowns, and palaces, but the tumultuous inner world of a man wrestling with identity, control, and legacy. From his earliest scenes, the emperor's personality is layered with complexity. His charm and intelligence shine through, hinting at the potential for greatness. Yet shadows linger, glimpses of insecurity and volatility foreshadow the turmoil ahead. As the narrative unfolds, these traits intensify, revealing a psyche unraveling under the weight of absolute authority. His decisions oscillate between calculated strategy and impulsive cruelty, reflecting the unstable balance between reason and obsession. The emperor's relationships are key to understanding his character. His interactions with family, advisors, and lovers unveil the tangled web of affection, manipulation, and betrayal that defines his reign. Moments of tenderness punctuate scenes of violence, humanizing him without excusing his excesses. His need for control extends into personal realms, manifesting in possessiveness and paranoia that alienate those closest to him. These dynamics highlight themes of isolation and the corrosive effects of unchecked power. Supporting characters offer vital counterpoints and reflections of the emperor's complexities. His wives and concubines embody both victims and participants in the court's intrigue, their own ambitions and vulnerabilities entwined with the shifting tides of favor. Through their perspectives, the film explores the limited agency of women in a patriarchal world, while also depicting moments of strength and resistance. Their fates illuminate the human costs of the emperor's whims and the broader societal structures among his advisors and courtiers. Figures emerge who navigate the dangerous currents with varying degrees of loyalty and ambition. Some are sycophants, eager to secure favor. Others are wary strategists, balancing self-preservation with ideals. These characters enrich the political tapestry, illustrating the complexity of power dynamics and the precariousness of trust. Their interactions with the emperor expose his vulnerabilities and the fragile nature of his authority. The antagonists, both external enemies and internal dissenters, serve to heighten tension and challenge the emperor's dominion. Their motivations range from righteous rebellion to opportunistic scheming, adding layers of moral ambiguity. Through these confrontations, the film probes themes of justice, revenge, and the cyclical nature of violence. Psychologically, the characters are portrayed with nuance and depth. The film delves into motivations shaped by trauma, desire, and the human longing for significance. Moments of introspection reveal the costs of ambition and the burdens of legacy. The portrayal avoids caricature, instead offering a rich tableau of flawed, multifaceted individuals. Visually, character presentation supports thematic exploration. Costumes and makeup reflect status and transformation. Regal attire symbolizes power, while disheveled appearances mark decline. Physicality and body language convey unspoken emotions, from the emperor's tense gestures to the subtle exchanges among courtiers. Close-ups capture fleeting expressions that reveal inner turmoil or calculated resolve. Dialogue and performance further enrich characterizations. The emperor's speech shifts from commanding to erratic, mirroring his psychological unraveling. Other characters' voices convey loyalty, fear, ambition, or defiance, creating a textured vocal landscape. The interplay of voices captures the emotional and political tensions at play. Relationships among characters are pivotal narrative drivers. Bonds of love, rivalry, and betrayal unfold with emotional intensity. The evolving dynamic between the emperor and those around him reflects broader themes of power, trust, and the human need for connection. These interactions provide insight into motivations and foreshadow shifts in fortune. Symbolically, characters embody archetypes and themes. The emperor represents the perilous allure of absolute power and the fragility beneath grandeur. His courtiers reflect the complexities of ambition and survival within oppressive systems. The women highlight themes of agency and constraint. Together, they create a mosaic that reflects timeless human struggles. Ultimately, the film's characters are the vessels through which its themes and emotions flow. Their journeys, from ascent to downfall, from loyalty to betrayal, from isolation to fleeting connection, invite viewers to engage with the complexities of human nature and history. Through their eyes, we witness the interplay of light and shadow that defines both empire and individual, a portrait as compelling as it is cautionary. The story behind the making of this film is as tumultuous, controversial, and layered as the epic it sought to portray. Beyond the lavish sets and the intense performances lies a rich tapestry of behind-the-scenes anecdotes, unexpected challenges, and peculiarities that shaped its creation and enduring legacy. These strangest facts open a window into the unpredictable world of filmmaking, where artistic ambition clashes with practical realities, and where the boundary between legend and truth often blurs. Exploring these curious details reveals a production as fascinating as the story it tells, packed with surprises, controversies, and moments of cinematic alchemy. One of the most striking aspects of the film's production is the sheer scale and extravagance of its sets and costumes. The filmmakers spared no expense in recreating the grandeur of ancient Rome, constructing vast palaces, imposing temples, and bustling forums. Yet, amid this opulence, the logistics of such a monumental endeavor presented daunting challenges. One of the strangest tales involves the meticulous sourcing of authentic materials, from marble replicas to period-appropriate fabrics, often requiring months of research and negotiation with artisans across Europe. Crew members recall navigating the labyrinthine logistics of moving massive set pieces and managing thousands of extras, turning the shoot into a massive undertaking that often teetered on chaos. The casting process itself was fraught with unexpected turns. The role of the emperor was a coveted yet daunting part, demanding a balance of regal authority and unsettling madness. The lead actor's preparation was intense, involving months of study into historical texts, psychological profiles, and physical conditioning to embody the complex character. What many don't know is that during filming, the actor insisted on performing many scenes without stunt doubles, including physically demanding sequences that risked injury. This commitment added authenticity but also tension on set, as safety concerns clashed with artistic zeal. Natalie Ward, who portrayed one of the emperor's wives, has shared intriguing stories from the set about the immersive experience of inhabiting such a richly detailed period world. Ward described the process of spending hours in makeup and elaborate costumes, the transformative power of the physical trappings of ancient Rome, and the challenges of maintaining energy and emotional intensity amid grueling shooting schedules. She also recounted the camaraderie among the actors, who bonded over shared meals and rehearsals, creating a supportive environment that contrasted sharply with the on-screen brutality. Perhaps the most notorious behind-the-scenes element involves the film's explicit content and the controversies it sparked. Originally conceived as a historical drama, the project evolved into a provocative exploration of decadence and depravity. The director's vision included scenes of extreme sexuality and violence, pushing boundaries that shocked contemporary audiences and censors alike. Stories from the production reveal clashes between creative freedom and censorship boards, with multiple edits and reshoots undertaken to navigate legal and cultural constraints. The controversies surrounding the film's content fueled both its infamy and its cult status, making it a touchstone in debates about art, morality, and censorship. Unusual occurrences during filming added to the project's mystique. For instance, the notorious orgy scene, filmed over several days with hundreds of extras, was a logistical feat that tested the limits of coordination and discretion. Crew members describe an atmosphere charged with tension and excitement, where professional boundaries were both observed and blurred. The director's insistence on realism led to unconventional methods on set, including the use of real food, drink, and props to heighten authenticity. These choices generated stories that blurred the line between filmmaking and lived experience, adding to the film's legend. The production also faced unexpected weather challenges. Shooting outdoor scenes intended to evoke the Mediterranean climate of ancient Rome was complicated by unseasonal rain and cold, forcing the crew to improvise or postpone key sequences. One memorable anecdote recounts a night shoot interrupted by a sudden thunderstorm, which, while disruptive, provided dramatic visuals that were ultimately incorporated into the film's atmosphere. Such instances underscore the unpredictability of filmmaking and the creativity required to adapt. Another fascinating trivia point involves the use of music and sound. The film's score combined classical motifs with experimental sounds, aiming to reflect the story's tension between tradition and chaos. The composer employed unusual instruments and recording techniques, including ancient percussion and synthesized textures, to create a soundscape both timeless and unsettling. On set, music was sometimes played during takes to influence mood and pacing, an unusual practice that affected performances and scene rhythm. Editing and post-production were equally complex and controversial. Initial cuts of the film were significantly longer and more graphic, leading to disputes among producers, distributors, and censors. Multiple versions exist, each with variations in content and tone, reflecting the tug-of-war between artistic vision and commercial considerations. This fragmentation has fueled scholarly and fan debates about authorial intent and the definitive version of the film. The editing process itself was a monumental task, with editors working tirelessly to balance narrative coherence, pacing, and the demands of various markets. An unexpected behind-the-scenes detail involves the film's cinematography. The director of photography employed a blend of traditional and avant-garde techniques, experimenting with lighting, camera angles, and filters to evoke the emotional and psychological states of characters. Some scenes were shot using unusual lenses or under low-light conditions to create a dreamlike, sometimes nightmarish quality. These innovations contributed to the film's distinctive visual style, which has been both praised and critiqued for its boldness. The film's reception during production and release was a roller coaster. Initially met with skepticism and resistance due to its provocative content, it gradually gained attention for its audacity and artistic ambition. Audience reactions ranged from shock to admiration, with many viewers drawn to its unflinching portrayal of power and corruption. The film's legacy is marked by this duality, both reviled and revered, controversial and cult classic, a testament to its complex identity. In sum, the strangest facts about this film's making reveal a production that was as daring and tumultuous as the story it tells. From logistical marvels and casting challenges to controversies and creative innovations, these behind-the-scenes tales enrich our understanding and appreciation. They remind us that filmmaking is an unpredictable alchemy of vision, conflict, and collaboration, where the lines between reality and art blur to create enduring legends on screen. The narrative of this film is a fierce, unflinching exploration of power's intoxicating allure and corrosive consequences, a saga woven with moments of grandeur and horror that invite scrutiny from a critical vantage point. As the story unfolds, key events serve as fulcrums, not only driving the plot but also illuminating the intricate interplay of themes that define the film's lasting impact. To engage with these moments critically is to uncover the layers beneath spectacle, layers rich with political commentary, psychological insight, and emotional complexity that continue to provoke thought and debate. One of the earliest significant events is the ascent of the central figure to imperial power, a moment charged with symbolic weight and narrative portent. This transition encapsulates the intoxicating promise and peril of absolute authority. Critics have noted how the film frames this coronation not simply as a transfer of power, but as the birth of a reign destined for excess and destruction. The ceremony's opulence is contrasted with undercurrents of fear and ambition, capturing the dual nature of leadership as both spectacle and burden. This event sets the tone for the ensuing narrative, establishing the ruler's complex psychology and foreshadowing the descent that will follow. The consolidation of power that follows is marked by acts of ruthless political maneuvering, purges, betrayals, and public displays of dominance. These sequences have been interpreted as incisive critiques of authoritarianism and the fragility of political structures built on fear and manipulation. The film's portrayal of these events exposes the mechanisms by which power is maintained and challenged, revealing the precariousness of loyalty in oppressive regimes. Such moments resonate beyond the historical setting, inviting viewers to reflect on contemporary political dynamics and the human cost of tyranny. Central to the film's critical analysis is the depiction of excess and decadence, lavish banquets, sexual orgies, and brutal punishments. These scenes, controversial and provocative, serve as more than mere shock value. They are integral to the thematic fabric. Critics argue that the excesses symbolize the moral decay at the heart of unchecked power, illustrating how indulgence becomes both a symptom and instrument of control. The juxtaposition of sensuality and violence challenges viewers to confront uncomfortable truths about the intersection of pleasure and oppression, power and vulnerability. The ruler's psychological unraveling is another focal point for critical examination. The film delves into the protagonist's descent into madness with a nuanced portrayal that balances horror with empathy. Key scenes reveal the interplay of trauma, paranoia, and megalomania, inviting interpretations grounded in psychological theory. This depiction challenges simplistic villainy, instead presenting a tragic figure whose flaws are both personal and systemic. The emotional resonance of these moments deepens the narrative, making the character's downfall a poignant meditation on the human psyche under extreme conditions. The film's handling of sexuality and gender dynamics has sparked extensive critical discourse. The portrayal of women as both victims and participants in the imperial spectacle has been analyzed through feminist and cultural lenses. Critics have debated the film's depiction of sexual violence and agency, exploring how these elements reflect broader societal attitudes and historical realities. The tension between exploitation and empowerment emerges as a complex theme, with the film's explicit content serving as a catalyst for ongoing discussions about representation, ethics, and artistic freedom. Political intrigue and assassination plots form a narrative thread rich with symbolic meaning. These events illustrate the cyclical nature of power struggles, where loyalty is fragile and survival demands ruthlessness. The film's depiction of conspiracy underscores themes of mistrust and betrayal that permeate authoritarian contexts. From a critical perspective, these plot developments highlight the instability inherent in regimes ruled by fear and caprice, reinforcing the film's commentary on governance and legitimacy. Visually, the film's use of imagery amplifies its thematic concerns. The recurring motifs of decay, crumbling architecture, blood-stained marble, extinguished flames, serve as metaphors for the impermanence of power and the inevitable collapse of oppressive structures. The interplay of light and shadow enhances these symbols, creating a visual language that communicates despair and foreboding. Critics have lauded the film's cinematography for its ability to convey psychological depth and thematic complexity through composition and color. Sound and music contribute significantly to the film's emotional impact. The score's blend of haunting melodies and dramatic crescendos underscores moments of tension and release, guiding audience responses. Sound design integrates ambient noises and dialogue with musical cues, creating an immersive sensory experience. Critical analysis often highlights how these auditory elements work in concert with visuals to deepen narrative immersion and thematic resonance. The film's reception, both at the time of release and in subsequent years, reflects its complex nature. Initial responses ranged from acclaim for its artistic ambition to condemnation for its explicit content and perceived excesses. This polarized reception underscores the film's provocative power and its challenge to conventional cinematic norms. Over time, critical re-evaluation has recognized its contribution to film history as a bold, if controversial, exploration of power, sexuality, and madness. Audience reactions similarly span a spectrum, from fascination and admiration to discomfort and critique. The film's ability to evoke strong emotional and intellectual responses testifies to its effectiveness as a work of art. Its enduring presence in cultural discourse, including academic studies and fan communities, illustrates its significance beyond mere entertainment. Ultimately, the critical perspective on this film reveals it as a layered, challenging work that uses historical narrative to probe universal themes. Its significant events, marked by spectacle, tragedy, and psychological depth, serve as mirrors reflecting the complexities of power and human nature. Through its unflinching portrayal of rise and fall, pleasure and pain, loyalty and betrayal, the film invites ongoing reflection on the price of absolute authority and the fragile line between greatness and ruin. This deep engagement enriches the viewing experience, transforming the film from a historical epic into a profound meditation on the human condition. Its impact endures not only through its cinematic artistry but also through the critical conversations it continues to inspire. Conversations about morality, history, and the timeless dance of light and shadow in the corridors of power. The making of this film is a saga as grand and turbulent as the story it depicts, a journey marked by artistic ambition, logistical challenges, and moments of unexpected magic that coalesced into a cinematic experience both controversial and unforgettable. To explore the production is to delve into a world where vision and reality collided, where creative daring met the practical demands of bringing ancient Rome to life on screen, and where the echoes of those efforts still resonate through anecdotes, recollections, and enduring legacy. From the earliest stages, the filmmakers set out to craft an epic that would capture the opulence and complexity of the Roman Empire, blending historical detail with bold artistic choices. The director's vision was uncompromising, seeking to portray not just the grandeur but also the darker, more unsettling aspects of imperial power. This commitment shaped every element of production, from the elaborate sets to the provocative narrative choices. The construction of the film's sprawling sets was an extraordinary feat of design and craftsmanship. Teams of artisans and designers labored for months to recreate the imposing architecture of Rome, with massive columns, intricate mosaics, and richly textured interiors. The sets were not mere backdrops but immersive environments that transported cast and crew into a world long vanished. Behind-the-scenes accounts describe the awe inspired by these spaces, the weight of history palpable in every stone and fresco. The logistics of building and maintaining such vast sets demanded meticulous coordination and ingenuity, particularly given the film's ambitious shooting schedule. Costume design was equally monumental, requiring a vast wardrobe of period-accurate attire that reflected the status and personality of each character. The costume department sourced authentic fabrics and studied ancient techniques to create garments that were both visually stunning and functional for filming. The process involved hundreds of individual pieces, from togas and armor to delicate jewelry, each crafted with attention to detail. Anecdotes from the wardrobe team reveal challenges such as ensuring durability during long shoots and accommodating the actors' movements during complex scenes. Casting was a crucial and sometimes contentious aspect of production. The role of the emperor demanded an actor capable of conveying both regal authority and psychological complexity. The chosen lead undertook extensive preparation, immersing himself in historical texts and engaging in physical training to embody the character's imposing presence. The chemistry among the cast, especially between the emperor and his court, was essential to the film's emotional depth. Rehearsals fostered a collaborative atmosphere, with actors contributing insights that enriched their portrayals. Filming on location added layers of authenticity but also challenges. The production utilized a variety of European locales to stand in for ancient Rome, from grand palatial ruins to rugged outdoor landscapes. These sites offered breathtaking visuals but posed logistical hurdles, whether unpredictability, restrictions on filming, and the sheer scale of coordinating large numbers of extras and equipment. The crew's adaptability and resourcefulness were vital in capturing the scenes that convey the empire's vastness and diversity. One of the most talked-about aspects of the production was the filming of the infamous feast and revelry scenes. These sequences involved hundreds of extras, intricate choreography, and the coordination of elaborate props and costumes. The atmosphere on set during these shoots was reportedly electric, blending professionalism with an almost carnival-like energy. Stories circulate of spontaneous moments captured on film, actors improvising, extras reacting naturally, and the director encouraging creative experimentation to heighten realism. The film's approach to depicting explicit content was groundbreaking and controversial. The director's insistence on unflinching honesty led to innovative filming techniques designed to balance authenticity with artistry. Certain scenes were shot with multiple cameras and angles to capture nuance and intensity without resorting to gratuitousness. The crew navigated the sensitivities involved with care, often consulting with legal and ethical advisors. These efforts sparked debates and censorship battles, but also contributed to the film's distinctive character. Technical innovation played a key role in production. Cinematographers experimented with lighting and camera movement to evoke mood and psychological states. Special lenses and filters were used to create textures that ranged from the stark to the dreamlike. The use of natural and artificial light was carefully calibrated to simulate the Mediterranean sun and the shadowed interiors of imperial palaces. These choices deepened the film's immersive quality, drawing viewers into its world with sensory richness. Sound recording on set was challenging due to the scale and complexity of scenes, especially those involving large crowds and dynamic movement. The sound team employed innovative microphone arrays and post-production techniques to ensure clarity and atmosphere. Foley artists recreated the ambient sounds of ancient Rome, footsteps on marble, rustling fabrics, clinking armor, adding layers of realism. The collaboration between sound designers and composers created an integrated auditory experience that complements the visuals and narrative. Editing was a monumental undertaking, involving the assembly of thousands of feet of film into a coherent and compelling narrative. The editing team faced the challenge of balancing the film's epic scope with character-driven moments, pacing action sequences alongside introspective scenes. Multiple cuts and versions were produced to navigate censorship issues and differing audience expectations. This iterative process was marked by creative debates and technical problem-solving, ultimately shaping the film's rhythm and tone. Behind the scenes, the cast and crew developed a vibrant, if sometimes intense, community. Long hours and demanding scenes fostered bonds of friendship and mutual support. Stories abound of shared meals, late-night rehearsals, and moments of levity amid the pressures of production. These interpersonal dynamics contributed to the energy and cohesion visible on screen. The film's release was accompanied by a whirlwind of publicity, controversy, and critical attention. Marketing campaigns grappled with balancing the film's historical epic qualities and its provocative content. Audience reactions were polarized, fueling discussions that extended beyond cinema into cultural and moral debates. The production's history became inseparable from the film's identity, adding layers of meaning and mystique. In retrospect, the production's blend of grand ambition, creative daring, and practical ingenuity stands as a testament to the challenges and triumphs of epic filmmaking. Its behind-the-scenes stories enrich the appreciation of the film's artistry and the human effort behind the spectacle. This journey from script to screen embodies the alchemy of cinema, where vision, collaboration, and persistence converge to create works that endure, provoke, and inspire. The world in which this story unfolds is vast, intricate, and suffused with contradictions, a sprawling vision of ancient Rome that lives and breathes as a character itself. The settings and cinematic elements are not mere backdrops but essential components that shape the narrative's emotional resonance and thematic depth. Exploring these layers reveals how space, light, color, and composition intertwine to evoke a civilization's grandeur and decay, drawing viewers into a sensory experience that is as immersive as it is unsettling. From the very first frame, the film establishes an atmosphere of overwhelming opulence. Palatial halls stretch endlessly, their soaring columns and intricate mosaics glittering under the Mediterranean sun. These architectural marvels are rendered with painstaking detail, inviting viewers into a world where every surface tells a story of wealth and power. The set designers meticulously recreated the grandeur of imperial Rome, sourcing materials and craftsmanship to evoke authenticity. The vastness of these spaces is both awe-inspiring and isolating, underscoring the scale of authority wielded by the central figure and the alienation that accompanies such dominance. The urban landscape extends beyond palaces to the bustling streets and crowded forums, capturing the vibrant, chaotic life of the city. Crowds surge through narrow alleys, merchants hawk their wares, and political discourse fills the air. These settings ground the narrative in a lived reality, contrasting the elite's luxury with the common people's vitality and vulnerability. The film's attention to this social spectrum enriches its portrayal of empire, highlighting disparities and tensions that underlie the political drama. The contrast between interior and exterior spaces is a recurring motif, visually articulating themes of concealment and exposure, power and vulnerability. Inside the palaces, scenes often unfold within shadowed corridors and lavish chambers, spaces that confine as much as they protect. The interplay of light and shadow in these interiors is masterfully crafted, with chiaroscuro techniques emphasizing psychological complexity and moral ambiguity. Soft, filtered light glints off gold and marble, yet darkness lurks in corners, reflecting the hidden machinations and emotional turmoil within. Outdoor scenes bask in natural light, their brightness sometimes blinding, symbolizing the public spectacle of power. Yet even here, the camera lingers on crumbling facades and worn statues, reminders of impermanence and decay. The natural environment, gardens, fountains, courtyards, offers brief reprieves from tension, spaces where characters reveal vulnerability or scheme in secret. These settings enrich the film's texture, creating a rhythm between grandeur and intimacy. Cinematographically, the film employs a rich palette of visual techniques to enhance mood and tone. The director of photography utilizes wide-angle lenses to capture the epic scale of settings, juxtaposing expansive vistas with intimate close-ups that reveal character nuance. Fluid tracking shots guide the audience through labyrinthine corridors and sprawling plazas, creating a sense of movement and immersion. In moments of heightened tension, handheld cameras introduce a jittery immediacy, drawing viewers into the chaos and uncertainty experienced by the characters. Color grading plays a pivotal role in conveying the story's emotional arc. Early sequences favor warm, golden hues that evoke vitality and promise, while later scenes shift toward colder, desaturated tones that mirror the narrative's descent into darkness. Splashes of vivid color, deep reds, rich purples, and glinting golds, punctuate key moments, symbolizing passion, violence, and power. This careful manipulation of color creates a visual language that communicates subtext and emotional shifts beyond dialogue. Lighting design is intricately tied to narrative intent. Scenes of opulence are illuminated with a soft glow that romanticizes luxury yet also casts long shadows, suggesting underlying corruption. Conversely, moments of isolation or madness are often lit starkly, with harsh contrasts that expose vulnerability and chaos. The interplay between light and darkness serves as a metaphor for the dualities that define the story. Glory and decay, control and madness, public persona and private torment. Set dressing and props are chosen with symbolic significance. Ornate furniture, ritual objects, and religious iconography populate the spaces, grounding the story in cultural context while reinforcing themes of authority and ritual. Recurring motifs, such as broken statues, extinguished candles, and blood-stained marble, evoke the fragility and violence at the empire's core. These details invite viewers to read the environment as a visual extension of the narrative's moral and psychological layers. Costume design complements setting and cinematography, using fabric, color, and silhouette to reflect character status and transformation. The imperial wardrobe, with its sumptuous textures and elaborate ornamentation, contrasts sharply with the simpler attire of soldiers, slaves, and commoners, visually encoding social hierarchies. Changes in costume throughout the film track characters' emotional and political journeys, reinforcing the narrative's themes of power and decline. The production also navigated controversies related to its explicit content and historical interpretations. Discussions among producers, legal advisors, and cultural consultants shaped editing decisions and marketing strategies. These challenges required diplomacy and compromise, balancing artistic vision with societal sensitivities. The cast and crew approached these issues with professionalism, often viewing the debates as part of the film's broader impact. Amid these pressures, moments of levity and humanity flourished. Cast members recount shared meals, impromptu performances, and quiet conversations that forged friendships and sustained morale. These interpersonal connections infused the production with warmth, counterbalancing the film's darker themes. Such stories highlight the importance of community and support in undertaking ambitious creative projects. In retrospect, the production stands as a testament to the power of collaboration, perseverance, and creative passion. The combination of visionary direction, dedicated performances, and skilled craftsmanship overcame formidable obstacles to create a film that continues to provoke, challenge, and captivate. The behind-the-scenes tales enrich our appreciation, reminding us that every frame reflects countless human efforts, moments of ingenuity, resilience, and shared purpose that transform history into living art. The film unfolds as a vast and intricate meditation on the nature of power, its intoxicating allure, its corrupting influence, and its inevitable decay. Beneath the veneer of imperial splendor and sensational spectacle lies a layered exploration of themes that resonate far beyond the historical setting, speaking to timeless human struggles and societal dynamics. To delve into these themes and the rich symbolism woven throughout the film is to uncover the complex interplay between grandeur and ruin, control and chaos, humanity and monstrosity. At the very core is the theme of absolute power and its consequences. The narrative traces the rise of a ruler whose authority is unchecked by law, morality, or compassion, illustrating how such dominance breeds not only external tyranny but internal devastation. The emperor's journey from celebrated leader to despotic madman embodies the seductive nature of power, how it can elevate and isolate, embolden and destroy. This trajectory invites reflection on the dual nature of authority as both a tool for governance and a weapon of oppression. The film does not shy away from exposing the psychological toll of sovereignty without restraint, highlighting how power can erode identity and empathy. Intertwined with this is the theme of decadence, an exploration of excess as both symptom and symbol of decline. The film vividly depicts scenes of lavish feasts, erotic orgies, and grotesque spectacles that serve as metaphors for moral and political decay. These displays of opulence are more than visual indulgence. They illustrate the corrosive effects of unchecked indulgence on individuals and societies. The interplay of pleasure and violence in these sequences emphasizes the blurring of boundaries that accompanies decay, where boundaries between self and other, sacred and profane, collapse. This thematic strand critiques not only the historical epoch but also broader patterns of societal excess. Paranoia and betrayal emerge as crucial themes shaping the narrative's tension and tragedy. The emperor's increasing suspicion of allies and enemies alike creates a climate of fear that permeates the court and city. Trust becomes a fragile commodity, alliances shift swiftly, and plots to usurp power proliferate. This atmosphere underscores the precariousness of autocratic rule and the human costs of living under suspicion. The themes of betrayal and loyalty extend beyond politics into personal relationships, deepening the emotional complexity. The film also engages with themes of sexuality and control, examining how sexual power is wielded both as privilege and weapon. The depiction of intimate relationships, marked by manipulation, desire, and violence, reflects broader dynamics of domination and submission within the empire. Female characters, though often victimized, are portrayed with agency and complexity, embodying both resistance and complicity. The intersection of sexuality and authority invites critical reflection on gender, power, and exploitation. Symbolism enriches these themes, imbuing the film's imagery and narrative with layered meaning. One of the most potent symbols is the recurring presence of broken statues and crumbling architecture, representing the fragility of empire and the inevitable decay beneath surface grandeur. These visuals remind viewers of the transience of power and the cyclical nature of history. The juxtaposition of monumental structures with their decay evokes a poignant meditation on impermanence. The motif of fire and light recurs throughout the film, symbolizing both creation and destruction. Flames illuminate scenes of revelry and violence alike, suggesting the dual forces that drive the narrative: passion and fury, life and annihilation. Light often reveals hidden truths or exposes characters to scrutiny, while darkness conceals secrets and foments danger. This symbolic use of illumination parallels the psychological and moral illumination sought and denied by the characters. Mirrors and reflections serve as another symbolic element, used to explore themes of identity and self-perception. Characters are frequently shown in reflective surfaces, confronting fragmented or distorted images of themselves. These moments underscore the tension between public persona and private reality, the multiplicity of selves within the exercise of power. The use of reflection invites viewers to question appearances and delve beneath surfaces. Colors throughout the film carry symbolic weight. Rich golds and reds signify wealth, passion, and blood, while cooler blues and grays evoke detachment, decay, and death. The shifting color palette tracks emotional and narrative arcs, visually expressing the rise and fall of fortune and sanity. These chromatic choices deepen the sensory experience and thematic resonance. The film's settings themselves function symbolically: the imperial palace as a fortress of power and isolation, the city streets as arenas of public life and unrest, the intimate chambers as stages for private drama and vulnerability. These spaces articulate the tensions between visibility and concealment, control and chaos, intimacy and spectacle. Music and sound contribute to the symbolic landscape, with recurring motifs that evoke ritual, menace, and melancholy. The interplay of sound and silence enhances moments of revelation and suspense, guiding emotional responses and thematic emphasis. The auditory elements deepen immersion, making the film's symbolic language multidimensional. Sound and music are woven into the fabric of setting and atmosphere. Ambient sounds, whispers in halls, footsteps echoing in vast chambers, distant crowds, enhance spatial awareness and immersion. The musical score blends classical orchestration with haunting motifs, underscoring emotional beats and heightening tension. Strategic silences punctuate scenes, amplifying psychological intensity and drawing attention to visual detail. The film's use of symbolic spaces further enriches its thematic resonance. The throne room, for example, functions as a stage for power struggles, its architecture designed to awe and intimidate. The emperor's private chambers, by contrast, reveal intimacy and isolation, spaces where vulnerability surfaces amid grandeur. Gardens and outdoor arenas serve as liminal zones where public and private realms intersect, often hosting moments of revelation or confrontation. Throughout, the interplay of setting and cinematic technique crafts an immersive experience that transcends historical recreation. The environment becomes a narrative voice, articulating the story's emotional currents and thematic tensions. Viewers are not merely spectators but participants, drawn into a world where every shadow, every gleam of light, every texture whispers secrets about power, desire, and fate. Ultimately, the film's settings and visual language are integral to its impact, creating a sensory landscape that embodies the grandeur and decay of empire, the splendor and terror of absolute authority. Through masterful cinematography, lighting, and design, the story unfolds not only in plot but in space and image, inviting contemplation of history's cyclical nature and the enduring human dramas played out beneath marble columns and fading frescoes. It is a cinematic journey as much about place as character, atmosphere as action, a richly textured world that lingers in memory long after the final frame. The making of this film was an epic endeavor in its own right, a saga of artistic passion, logistical hurdles, and human stories that unfolded far beyond the camera's gaze. Behind the grandeur and controversy lies a fascinating world of collaboration, creativity, and resilience, where cast and crew navigated the complexities of bringing ancient Rome's most infamous reign to life. These behind-the-scenes insights reveal not only the challenges and triumphs of production, but also the camaraderie, surprises, and unexpected moments that breathed life into the cinematic spectacle. From the earliest days of pre-production, the scale of the project set the tone for an ambitious, sometimes daunting journey. The filmmakers aimed to craft a visually stunning, emotionally intense portrayal that balanced historical detail with dramatic flair. This vision demanded meticulous planning, enormous resources, and a dedicated team ready to meet the challenges head-on. The scope of the sets, costumes, and number of extras required coordination on a monumental scale, often pushing the limits of time and budget. One of the most enduring stories from the set involves the construction of the Imperial Palace, an immense, lavishly detailed set designed to evoke both majesty and menace. The crew worked tirelessly to build massive columns, intricate mosaics, and vast throne rooms that would become central to the film's visual identity. However, the enormity of the set created practical challenges. Narrow corridors became crowded with equipment and personnel, and moving heavy props demanded careful choreography. Yet, these constraints also fostered creative problem-solving. The director and cinematographer collaborated closely to frame shots that maximized the sense of space while accommodating technical limitations. Casting the ensemble was another pivotal and sometimes unpredictable aspect of production. The lead actor's immersion into the role was marked by intense preparation, including studying historical records and engaging in physical training to convey the emperor's commanding presence. On set, the actor's commitment was palpable, often leading by example and encouraging co-stars to delve deeply into their characters. The chemistry among principal cast members developed through rehearsals and shared experiences, creating bonds that translated into authentic on-screen dynamics. Behind the camera, the director cultivated an environment that balanced discipline with openness. Known for his meticulous attention to detail, he encouraged experimentation and valued the input of his creative team. This collaborative spirit extended to actors, who were often invited to improvise or explore different emotional nuances during takes. Such flexibility enriched performances, allowing characters to emerge with depth and complexity. Cast interviews frequently mention the director's ability to maintain focus while fostering a supportive atmosphere. Even during long, demanding shooting days, filming large crowd scenes presented unique logistical hurdles. Scenes depicting grand public events or chaotic revelries required coordinating hundreds of extras, managing costumes, choreography, and timing. One memorable anecdote recounts a day when a sudden change in weather disrupted a planned outdoor sequence, forcing the crew to improvise quickly. Through swift communication and teamwork, the scene was adjusted and shot successfully, illustrating the resilience and adaptability that characterized much of the production. The infamous banquet and orgy scenes were among the most challenging to film, both practically and emotionally. Coordinating large groups in scenes involving nudity and complex choreography demanded trust and professionalism from all involved. The atmosphere on set was described as intense but respectful, with clear boundaries and protocols to ensure comfort and safety. The director's commitment to authenticity led to innovative shooting techniques that balanced explicit content with artistic intent, a delicate dance that required patience and sensitivity. Technical innovations also played a role in overcoming production challenges. The cinematography team experimented with lighting setups and camera movements to capture the sprawling sets and intimate moments alike. Special rigs were used to achieve fluid tracking shots through crowded spaces, while creative use of mirrors and reflections added visual depth. Post-production involved extensive color grading and sound design to unify disparate footage and enhance atmosphere. Costume and makeup departments faced the task of creating and maintaining hundreds of period-accurate outfits under demanding conditions. Actors underwent hours of daily preparation to achieve the elaborate hairstyles, body paints, and garments essential to their characters. Maintaining continuity over long shooting schedules required detailed record-keeping and coordination. Despite the pressures, these teams fostered a close-knit community, often sharing stories and laughter that lightened the workload. The film's soundtrack and sound design emerged from close collaboration between the director, composer, and sound engineers. Recording sessions featured innovative techniques, blending traditional instruments with experimental sounds to reflect the story's emotional and thematic contrasts. On set, music sometimes played during takes to guide performance tempo and mood, a practice that contributed to the film's rhythmic energy. Characters embody these themes and symbols through their actions and arcs. The Emperor's embodiment of power's dual nature, the ability to create and destroy, inspire and terrify, is central. His descent into madness is a living allegory of corruption and isolation. Supporting characters reflect facets of loyalty, resistance, and complicity, enriching the thematic texture. Ultimately, the film weaves its themes and symbolism into a rich tapestry that challenges viewers to contemplate the cyclical nature of power and the fragile boundaries between greatness and ruin. It presents a world where beauty and horror coexist, where the human condition is laid bare in its extremes. Through its evocative imagery and complex narrative, the film becomes not just a historical epic but a timeless reflection on the forces that shape civilizations and souls alike. This profound thematic and symbolic depth invites repeated viewings and ongoing reflection, revealing new insights with each encounter. It transforms the film into a meditation on history, morality, and the eternal dance between light and shadow in the halls of power, a cinematic experience that lingers in mind and heart, urging contemplation long after the final scene fades. The making of this film was a grand experiment in cinematic artistry, a bold fusion of classical epic storytelling and audacious visual innovation that sought to transport viewers into the heart of an ancient world both magnificent and monstrous. The filmmakers employed an array of techniques that together forged a unique atmosphere, one that pulses with grandeur, menace, and psychological intensity. To understand how these methods shaped the viewer's experience is to appreciate the film as a masterclass in sensory storytelling, where sound, editing, and camera work coalesce to evoke not just a place and time, but the emotional and moral turbulence of power itself. At the foundation of the film's visual identity lies its meticulous cinematography. The director of photography embraced a style that balances sweeping, panoramic vistas with intimate close-ups, crafting a visual rhythm that mirrors the narrative's oscillation between public spectacle and private torment. Wide shots capture the colossal scale of imperial Rome, the vastness of marble forums, the imposing height of palace columns, the teeming streets alive with citizens and soldiers. These vistas evoke awe and grandeur, situating characters within a world defined by power and legacy. Contrasting these are tight frames that delve into the nuanced expressions of characters, revealing fear, ambition, madness, or despair. This interplay draws viewers into both the epic and the intimate, fostering a layered engagement with the story. Lighting played a pivotal role in crafting the film's mood. The cinematography employs chiaroscuro, an interplay of light and shadow, to heighten drama and underscore thematic contrasts. Brightly lit scenes of public ceremony and feasting are often punctuated by darkened recesses where secrets and violence lurk. The use of naturalistic light imbues outdoor sequences with warmth and vitality, while interiors often feature dim, moody illumination that evokes claustrophobia and psychological tension. Creative use of candlelight, torches, and reflected surfaces enhances texture and depth, allowing light to become a symbolic force, casting illumination on truth or obscuring reality in darkness. Camera movement and angles are employed with deliberate purpose. The film features a blend of fluid tracking shots that glide through elaborate sets, immersing viewers in the bustling imperial world, and handheld sequences that inject immediacy and unease during moments of violence or paranoia. Low-angle shots amplify the Emperor's dominance, while tilted frames and tight close-ups during scenes of madness convey disorientation and psychological fracture. These choices guide emotional responses, making the camera an active participant in storytelling rather than a passive observer. Editing is central to the film's narrative pace and emotional cadence. The editing team navigated the challenge of balancing epic scale with character-driven drama, weaving together expansive crowd scenes, tense confrontations, and quiet moments of reflection. Rapid cuts during action sequences generate adrenaline and chaos, while longer takes in intimate scenes allow performances to breathe and subtlety to emerge. The editing rhythm reflects the narrative's crescendo, from the measured assertion of power to the unraveling frenzy of the final acts, enhancing viewer immersion, and tension. Sound design contributes profoundly to atmosphere. The soundscape layers ambient noises, marching footsteps, murmuring crowds, clinking armor, with intimate sounds like whispered conspiracies or the quiet breathing of characters. This multi-dimensional auditory environment envelopes viewers, grounding scenes in realism while amplifying psychological undercurrents. Sudden silences punctuate moments of suspense, creating space for emotional intensity and anticipation. The musical score is a distinctive fusion of classical orchestration and experimental elements. Composed to reflect both the era's grandeur and the story's unsettling edge, the music oscillates between triumphant fanfares and haunting motifs. Its thematic leitmotifs underscore character arcs and narrative developments, guiding emotional journeys and reinforcing symbolism. The composer's use of unusual instruments and tonal textures adds layers of complexity, enhancing the film's immersive quality. Production design and art direction are cornerstones of the film's visual storytelling. The elaborate sets and costumes immerse viewers in a meticulously researched ancient world. The design choices reflect character psychology and thematic concerns. Opulent palaces convey power and isolation, while worn armor and tattered garments evoke the costs of conflict and decay. Color palettes within sets and costumes shift to mirror narrative arcs, from vibrant hues signaling ascendancy to desaturated tones marking decline. Special effects, both practical and visual, enhance realism and spectacle. The production favored in-camera effects, carefully choreographed stunts, authentic weaponry, and physical sets, over early digital techniques, lending tactile authenticity. Explosions, battles, and intimate scenes involving fire or blood were executed with precision, requiring extensive rehearsal and safety protocols. These choices heighten visceral impact and underscore the film's commitment to grounded storytelling amid epic scope. The integration of sound, editing, and camera work creates a symbiotic relationship that elevates the cinematic experience. For example, tracking shots through crowded forums are synchronized with the swell of musical score and layered ambient sound, building crescendo that pulls viewers into the narrative's emotional heart. Conversely, abrupt cuts paired with silence during moments of betrayal or madness amplify shock and psychological disturbance. These deliberate juxtapositions showcase the filmmaker's mastery of pacing and mood. Post-production techniques further refined the film's atmosphere. Color grading adjusted hues to unify disparate footage and enhance thematic tone. Audio mixing balanced dialogue clarity with immersive soundscapes, ensuring emotional subtleties were preserved. Visual effects teams enhanced backgrounds and corrected continuity, seamlessly integrating practical elements with digital enhancements. Box office production and marketing embraced the film's dual identity as both historical epic and provocative spectacle. Campaigns highlighted lavish visuals and star performances while navigating sensitivities around explicit content. This strategy broadened audience appeal and fueled discussion, contributing to commercial success and cultural impact. The film's release sparked debates about artistic freedom, censorship, and the portrayal of history, embedding it within larger conversations beyond cinema. In retrospect, the filmmaking techniques employed were instrumental in creating a film that is visually stunning, emotionally resonant, and intellectually provocative. Through innovative cinematography, evocative lighting, immersive sound design, and dynamic editing, the filmmakers crafted a sensory landscape that transports viewers into the volatile world of Imperial Rome. These elements work in concert to explore themes of power, madness, and decay, making the film not only a historical epic but a profound cinematic experience. This fusion of technical mastery and artistic vision ensures the film's enduring relevance and influence. It stands as a testament to the power of filmmaking as an art form, where every shot, sound, and cut contributes to storytelling that moves, challenges, and captivates. In this way, the film transcends its historical narrative to become a timeless exploration of humanity's greatest ambitions and darkest impulses, rendered through the language of cinema at its most compelling. The tapestry of this film's life stretches far beyond the screen, woven intricately with the voices of those who brought it to life. The cast whose performances anchored the story in raw human emotion, the interviews that peel back layers to reveal intentions and struggles, and the audience whose responses have echoed through decades, shaping its legacy in unexpected ways. To step into this world of personalities, reflections, and reactions is to understand how art becomes alive, how stories breathe through the people who tell them, and how films resonate differently across time and culture. At the center of this constellation stands the actor who embodied the emperor, a figure whose portrayal demanded a formidable blend of commanding presence and psychological nuance. Known for his dedication and intensity, he approached the role with deep preparation, immersing himself in historical research and psychological study to capture the complex dualities of charisma and madness. In interviews, he spoke candidly about the challenges of portraying a character whose descent into tyranny is both mesmerizing and tragic. He described the delicate balance required to humanize a figure often demonized by history, aiming to reveal the vulnerability lurking beneath the veneer of power. His commitment to authenticity extended to demanding physical rigor, performing many scenes without stunt doubles and enduring long hours of makeup and costume. Co-stars recall a working environment energized by his focus and generosity. Though the role carried immense pressure, the lead actor fostered a collaborative spirit, encouraging fellow performers to explore their characters' depths fully. This openness enriched on-screen relationships, infusing scenes with a palpable chemistry that transcended script. The actor's reflections reveal a journey of discovery and transformation, both for himself and the narrative, highlighting the profound responsibility felt in bringing such a controversial and complex figure to life. The supporting cast contributed vital layers to the film's emotional and political texture. Actresses portraying the emperor's wives and consorts navigated roles that demanded vulnerability, strength, and often painful complexity. In interviews, they spoke about the emotional toll of scenes involving intimacy and violence, emphasizing the importance of trust on set and the director's sensitivity in handling difficult material. Their perspectives highlight the challenges and rewards of embodying women caught within the nexus of power and exploitation, illuminating broader themes of agency and survival. These actresses' dedication brought nuance to roles that risked reduction, transforming them into vivid, memorable presences. The actors playing advisors, soldiers, and conspirators also shared insights into the ensemble dynamic. Many described a sense of camaraderie forged through shared challenges, the physical demands of large-scale scenes, the emotional weight of the story, and the pressures of public scrutiny. Rehearsals and off-camera interactions fostered a creative environment where ideas were exchanged freely, performances refined, and mutual respect cultivated. These relationships contributed to the film's layered portrayal of loyalty, ambition, and betrayal, creating a rich interpersonal web on screen. Behind the scenes, the director's voice offers crucial context. Known for his visionary approach and willingness to challenge cinematic conventions, he reflected on the film's ambitions and controversies with candor. In interviews, he emphasized his intent to provoke thought and evoke emotion, seeking not merely to entertain but to confront uncomfortable truths about power and human nature. He discussed the balancing act between historical fidelity and artistic license, the tensions around explicit content, and the collaborative process with cast and crew. His insights reveal a filmmaker deeply engaged with the material and committed to crafting a work that endures in complexity and impact. The creative team, including cinematographers, costume designers, and composers, also shared perspectives that illuminate the film's texture. Their reflections on choices, lighting that evokes psychological states, costumes that signal status and transformation, music that underscores emotion, reveal the layered artistry behind the scenes. These professionals describe a production marked by innovation, challenge, and passionate commitment, where technical mastery and creative vision intertwine to bring the story to vivid life. Audience reception has been as varied and complex as the film itself. Upon release, reactions ranged from acclaim for its boldness and visual splendor to condemnation for its explicit content and perceived excesses. This polarized response underscores the film's provocative power and its challenge to conventional norms. Over time, the audience's relationship with the film evolved, with growing appreciation for its artistic ambition and thematic depth alongside continued debate over its moral and aesthetic choices. Many viewers cite the film as a personal touchstone, an experience that provoked strong emotional and intellectual responses. Fans praise the performances, especially the lead actor's portrayal, for their intensity and nuance. The depiction of power, seduction, and corruption resonates widely, prompting reflection on history, leadership, and human frailty. Discussions in fan communities, forums, and academic circles attest to the film's enduring relevance and complexity. Critics' evaluations have similarly shifted, with early reviews often divided between admiration for craftsmanship and discomfort with explicitness. Later analyses have recognized the film's contribution to cinematic language, its exploration of themes rarely addressed so openly, and its stylistic innovations. Scholarly work delves into its narrative structure, symbolism, and cultural impact, situating it within broader discourses on film history and theory. The film's cultural imprint extends into popular media and art, inspiring homages, reinterpretations, and debates. Its imagery and themes have influenced filmmakers, writers, and artists who cite its audacity and emotional depth as formative. Retrospective screenings and restorations have introduced the film to new audiences, sparking renewed dialogue and appreciation. In sum, the cast's dedication, the director's vision, and the audience's engagement form a living ecosystem that sustains the film's life beyond its initial release. Their voices, through interviews, performances, critiques, and conversations, create a dynamic legacy, transforming the film into a cultural landmark that continues to challenge, captivate, and inspire. This vibrant interplay between creation and reception underscores cinema's power not only to tell stories but to shape collective memory and identity. Through the intimate revelations of cast and crew, the thoughtful reflections of the director, and the passionate discourse of audiences, the film emerges as a multifaceted work, a testament to the complexities of power, art, and human experience. Its story is not confined to the screen but lives on in the hearts and minds of those who have encountered it, a shared journey through history's shadows and light. The journey we've taken together through this film has been nothing short of a descent into the heart of a story that is as grand as it is harrowing, as opulent as it is decayed. From the very first scenes, where the promise of imperial glory beckons with dazzling light and towering marble, to the final moments that echo with the somber toll of power's fragility and madness, we've traversed a landscape that is both historical epic and psychological study. The film is a kaleidoscope of contradictions, reflecting the eternal dance between ambition and downfall, control and chaos, humanity and monstrosity. We began by immersing ourselves in the rich settings, the sprawling palaces, the crowded forums, the shadowed chambers, each space meticulously crafted to breathe life into ancient Rome and to serve as a mirror to the characters' inner worlds. The architectural grandeur and decaying ruins alike painted a backdrop of beauty and foreboding, a silent witness to the rise and fall unfolding within its walls. Cinematography, lighting, and color merged seamlessly to create an atmosphere that oscillated between dazzling spectacle and suffocating darkness, pulling viewers into the emotional pulse of the narrative. Our deep dive into the plot revealed a tale of transformation and tragedy, of a ruler's ascent to power shadowed by the seeds of his own destruction. The narrative's rhythm, alternating between moments of public ceremony and private torment, between political intrigue and personal vulnerability, unfolded like a tragic symphony. The escalating excesses and tightening paranoia charted a course toward an inevitable reckoning, a climax that reverberates with timeless themes of ambition's cost and the human yearning for connection amid isolation. The characters emerged as richly drawn figures navigating a world of peril and passion. The Emperor, portrayed with striking nuance, embodied the paradoxes of power, its capacity to inspire and devastate. Supporting roles, from loyalists to conspirators, wives to soldiers, added depth and complexity, weaving a web of relationships that reflected broader societal dynamics. Their struggles and desires, illuminated through performance and narrative, invited us to reflect on the fragile interplay of love, loyalty, betrayal, and survival. Behind the scenes, the film's creation was itself a story of ambition and challenge. The dedication of cast and crew, the ingenuity of production teams, and the vision of the director converged to overcome daunting logistical and creative obstacles. The intricate sets, elaborate costumes, and innovative cinematography stand as testaments to the collaborative spirit and artistic passion that brought the ancient world roaring to life. Anecdotes from the set revealed moments of camaraderie and resilience, reminding us that filmmaking is a deeply human endeavor. The film's themes and symbolism formed a rich tapestry, inviting contemplation beyond the immediate narrative. Power's intoxicating and corrosive nature, the cycles of decadence and decay, the intertwining of pleasure and violence, and the psychological unraveling of authority. These motifs resonate universally, transcending the historical milieu. Visual metaphors, the crumbling statues, flickering flames, mirrors of fractured identity, deepened our engagement, making the story a meditation on impermanence, identity, and the eternal human condition. Filmmaking techniques, dynamic camera work, evocative lighting, layered sound design, and precise editing crafted an immersive sensory landscape. The film's atmosphere, shaped through these elements, enveloped viewers in a world both dazzling and disquieting, where every frame communicated mood, meaning, and emotion. This technical mastery underscored the narrative's thematic depth, enhancing our experience beyond words. The voices of those who brought the film to life, the actors' reflections, the director's insights, the audience's passionate responses, add living layers to its legacy. The film's reception, marked by controversy and acclaim, underscores its provocative power and cultural significance. The dialogues it continues to inspire, among fans, critics, and scholars, affirm its place as a work that challenges conventions and invites ongoing reflection. As we close this exploration, we are reminded that cinema is not merely about storytelling but about connection, between filmmaker and viewer, past and present, reality and imagination. This film, in all its complexity, embodies that connection, offering a mirror to the darkest and most dazzling facets of human nature. It challenges us to confront power's allure and dangers, to witness the fragile humanity beneath grandeur, and to ponder the cycles of history that shape us. If this journey has sparked your curiosity, deepened your understanding, or moved you emotionally, then you're exactly where you belong. By subscribing, you join a community passionate about peeling back the layers of cinema, exploring not just what stories tell us, but how and why they resonate. Your engagement fuels more explorations into the films that shape our culture and imagination. Don't forget to give this video a quick like. It truly helps support this channel and allows us to bring you more thoughtful,